Welcome everybody. Hope you're doing well. Welcome back to this week's episode of the weekly HO Scale Newsletter Recap for November 3rd, 2025 and the Trainfest Special Edition. If you're new to the series, this is where we take a look at product announcements and updates from a variety of HO Scale manufacturers. And with the Trainfest show this last weekend, we had a ton of new announcements. So lots of things to cover. As always, before we get started, do me a favor and subscribe if you're new or find yourself coming back anyways. It's completely free and helps me to make a few dollars, so I really appreciate it. Like the video if you enjoyed as well, and drop me a comment if you're excited about anything we talk about here today. Let me know your favorites from the show if you were there. Let me know how it went. I was unfortunately unable to make it this year. And of course, if you saw something at the show that I did miss, please let me know so that I can try to cover it next week. But without any further ado, let's go ahead and get started with this week's episode with ScaleTrains. Kicking us off here with some reminders of some models still in stock from ScaleTrains, SD40-2s and GP30s in HO scale, still in stock, some nice locomotives there, as well as a bunch of high cubes, Thrall 86-footers and Trinity 60-footers in both their operator and rivet counter lines, and an S-scale 40-foot reefer. Sticking with S-scale though, for ScaleTrains' first announcement, we've got TUFC flat cars and trailers, the 53-foot version of these, in their S-helper service line. I know S-scale isn't as popular as HO and N-scale, but always nice to see the love coming from ScaleTrains. Some different versions there for you. A little bit of history on TUFC or piggyback trailers, as well as the different road names and paint schemes coming in this S-scale run. Pre-orders, like the other announcements in this newsletter, are due on Monday, November 24th, so you got a couple weeks to decide. These trailers can also be purchased separately. There's a few different schemes offered just as solo dry van trailers. That'll be perfect for those flat cars as well that are available separately from those combos. There's a full list of those road names for the individual trailers. All of those are expected to deliver next summer. Moving on now, back into the more common scales. N-scale ET44s are getting a new run here with the new CPKC paint scheme. You'll see a bunch of hypotypical or fantasy schemes here. This is pretty much mirroring the HO scale run of these that's due out next spring. I've got the Rio Grande on order as well as the CPKC units. They're ex-Bachmann units, so they have some unique modifications. And the first BNSF ACHs. So very excited to see those arrive. But these N-scale models, pre-orders are also due on the 24th, expected next summer. And here's a little shout out on those HO scale locomotives. Very excited for those. Hoping to grab a pair of the CSX units as they have the DP distributed power sticker on them for the first time, and a pair of UP units just because I need them for an upcoming coal train. Planning that with the new run of Rapido auto floods coming in HO scale as well. Sticking with N scale for another moment. New run of flat cars here. These were very successful in HO scale, and the BSC, F68CH, and DH flat cars are now coming to N scale. There's a good look at those with the product artwork there. Some history there if you're interested in that. Feel free to pause, of course, at any time if I am moving too quickly for you. All this information is also available on ScaleTrains' website. There's a paint schemes for both the CH and DH versions of those cars expected next summer. And now on to HO scale. About time here. New covered hoppers. These are the Gunderson 3250s. Some really neat schemes coming here. A lot of frac sand service for these cars. I really like the UP that you'll see in just a second. It's a nice blue color. We got the KEGX versions with the Nutrisol and unique artwork there. CSX, of course, and a bunch of leasing companies like the Arkansas, Oklahoma here. Let these play through just because I think it shows off a good variation with all these patch jobs and the decal differences. I know a lot of people are very excited to see these on their layouts. It's a unique car, being that it is just a 2-bay hopper, because these cars are so heavy that it doesn't make sense to have a full 3-bay hopper because you'd be overweight. There's some of the details there on these cars, a couple different body variations that will be coming in this run. The earliest model has 4 hatches on the roof and 3 on the rest. They do have a nice video on YouTube as well, showing off the model. If you're interested in that, check out the ScaleTrains YouTube channel. Here's the full list of the road names and paint schemes. These are also expected next summer. Some of the different versions have different outlet gates, low profile, and the standard outlet gates as well. They're also coming in N scale. I'll let these play through. Nice quarter panel ISO view of these cars as well. Just imagine them a little bit more scaled up for HO scale. So N-scalers not being left out here. There's all the road names and paint schemes coming in N-scale, also expected next summer. And we all knew another run of AC44C6Ms was coming, but I wasn't sure when. It's officially announced. We have new road numbers in all the different versions here. The mains are not coming back in this run. Instead, we have the Thank You Railroaders, number 4822, and the Tennessee, Alabama, and Georgia Heritage Unit. Not shown off here in this artwork. There is that Thank You Railroader unit. Really neat that they're finally making this announcement. I don't believe I'll be grabbing more of the standard C6Ms. I'm definitely going to consider grabbing the tag unit. I think it's a really cool paint scheme and it's going to go great with the Norfolk and Western Heritage unit. ES44 I have from NS as well. It's a very similar blue with a nice stripe across the side, so I think that'll be a nice consist. Here's some model details, very similar to what we saw in the first run. I do hope they have fixed the pilot droop on these models. That was my main complaint. Got a video review out if you'd like to take a look at my thoughts on those models as well. Here's a full list of those lighting features and all the paint schemes coming in this run. These are also estimated to deliver next summer. They do have some of the HO and N-scale versions of the original run, including the main units. I've got the Sonic Bonnet in particular. Very happy with that so far. Number 4047, the primer cab unit. It's also very unique. Sticking with HO scale though, we've got AC44C4Ms. These are the Wabtec BNSF rebuilds. Similar modifications, but with the unpowered middle axle, which is typical for BNSF power. I'm pretty sure all of these were ex-Santa Fe units. At least most of them are in this run. They're all in the H3 paint scheme, just with different road numbers and some different decal differences and prototype specific information there. There's all the details for you, very similar to the C6Ms, just with some differences for BNSF. Pre-orders for these, just like the others, due by Monday the 24th for a summer 2026 delivery. I know I saw a lot of people clamoring for the Ferromex units, the C6Ms that NS did not take delivery of, as well as the CSX rebuild, so hopefully in a future run we'll get those. Canadian National is also getting quite a few of them, just saw my first one the other day, so I hope that those do eventually come from ScaleTrains. Of course, Trainfest was this past weekend, and they will still be in the Wisconsin area for a few more days as of this recording. So if you're in the area, check out these railroad clubs, say hi, have a good time. And final update here from ScaleTrains. Their SD7s and SD9s will be billing this week, hopefully. So I've got one on order, so stay tuned for my review on that. Very excited. It's one of the IRM units. My personal goal is to eventually grab all the IRM, but they're making it quite difficult as they keep buying more. But in any case, very nice announcements overall from ScaleTrains, in my opinion. Let's go ahead and move on to Rapido. And moving on to Rapido's newsletter. Don't worry, we have a ton of samples to take a look at from Trainfest just after as well. Quick little table of contents, but let's go ahead and get right into their new announcements. They put out a nice video on YouTube if you're interested as well. But first up is the official relaunch of their superior stainless Budd coaches. These were announced quite a while ago, but they now have the capacity to make them, and they've added some new US schemes to this run. Previously it was all Canadian models, mostly the HEP2 fleet for VIA. They've also added some details for the HEP1 cars as well. Lots of details on these models, very typical for Rapido's passenger cars. Everything looks great. Some notable upgrades from 2014, better rolling trucks, better lighting as well, and even more underbody detail. Check out this interior, cushions, armrests, very, very neat. Here's a shot of the interior on an Amtrak sample. And check out the underbody details here. Little pop quiz for you. Can you name everything that's underneath? I definitely couldn't. The answers are down below though, so don't worry. But just goes to show you, there's tons of detail here that Rapido's put into the underbody on these cars. And there's the answers for you. Nice vestibule shot with the gate on the end and just overall end of car details. Here is the full list of the features of these models. First up, here are the new schemes that have been added to this run. These are all the US based schemes. Nice Conrail and Norfolk Southern executive cars. Those will go great with everything Broadway Limited has been making recently, as well as Rock Island and Santa Fe down at the bottom here. And Seaward Coastline to wrap us up here. And here are all the Canadian schemes. Of course, CN, CP, and VIA pretty much make up all of these, but check out all the different details here with the HEP1 and HEP2 cars for VIA down at the bottom. Tons of extra details on the end frames of these cars. And then a few ex-Southern Pacific models that are also offered painted unlettered. The official order deadline for these models is February 2026. Not sure exactly when these are expected to deliver quite yet, but make sure to get your orders in because I'm sure these will sell quite well, just like their other passenger cars have. And moving on to the official announcement for their ACF Helium car. I know we took a look at this a few weeks ago, but it's officially announced with an order deadline as well. They've added some new schemes, including a NASA scheme with a new order deadline of December 15th. So coming up pretty quick, just like some other things we'll take a look at here. Nice details overall on these cars. Nice joke that they made in the video. You think they'd be quite light because it's a bunch of helium, but no, these cars were very, very heavy and definitely used all the weight capacity that they could. Some nice underbody shots, as well as an antique AHM car. Maybe it's worth an upgrade. In any case, Rapido's features are on screen here for you. And all the new schemes. You got US Navy and NASA, and then a painted unlettered version at the bottom to customize to your own pleasing. Once again, order deadline December 15th. Moving on to my favorite announcement, the HO-Scale F40PH-2D rebuilds for VIA. I've seen the samples in N-Scale and have been a bit jealous. Haven't officially started hunting on eBay yet, but now I don't have to. These are coming back in HO-Scale. I will probably be grabbing one of these just because I think the details are just incredible. I'll probably run it with my Metra equipment, so don't sue me. My railroad, my rules, just like your railroad, your rules, can't judge. Overall, tons of details, as I mentioned, on these models that I'm super excited for, with some quality of life upgrades as well. Coming with the $10 bill version with Canada on the front. I'm not sure if that's the version I'll go with, if that's going to be harder to find than the other standard schemes. In any case, here are the features on these models. A little bit of an upgrade from the last run as well. And here's all the paint schemes. The new Love the Way scheme also coming in this run. These have a February 16th, 2026 order deadline. Not sure quite yet when these will deliver, but I'm excited either way. And still in HO-Scale, another run of Southern Pacific 3/4 dome lounges. These were such a success for Rapido in their first run that they're already announcing their next run. Here's some of the nice interior details from the first run of these cars. I grabbed one in the daylight scheme. Got a video if you're interested in my thoughts, but I thought it was a very, very nice car. It's my first daylight passenger equipment, and I'm definitely going to be buying a bit more. Here's a nice shot of it at night. Love the lighting details on these cars. So I definitely recommend grabbing one if you can. They're also rerunning the CP Selkirk, the car that was on the 2816 Excursion fleet. So you'll definitely need to grab that one if you're modeling that train. Here's all the features there for you on screen of these models. And the full list of paint schemes. Everything in the first run is coming back. They're also adding some new Amtrak schemes and a Panama Central Railway at the bottom, which is a pretty neat version. I didn't know they owned any of these cars. Once again, like the others, order deadline is December 15th, so also coming up pretty quick, so get your orders in if you're interested. And also a new rerun, the CN Hawker-Siddeley vans. These were also an insane success for Rapido. I'm very happy with my models. Got a little special project in the works regarding these models as well that I don't want to give too much away, but I will reveal that at the proper time. Very, very excited about these models coming back. Some really nice details all across these models. There's a nice inside view. Look at all those details inside the car. This is the unpainted version of the interior. It does have paint on it in the final models. Something that's really neat though is they're offering the later era version of 79329 with this insanely weathered look. They're going to be employing a new special UV printing process, as they say, which will give it this nice worn, weathered look, which I think is really sweet. Not seeing too many manufacturers attempt a weathered car like this. Here's all the features there, pretty much the same from what I can see from the first run. They've also added a couple painted unlettered versions, as well as ex-Devco. So there is no standard Devco versions coming in this next run. You still have the as delivered with the red steps. There are no track inspection lights on that version, which is accurate. And then you get the track inspection lights added on the later era with the black steps. International service there with the yellow stripe. And all the new schemes coming here. Ex-Devco for CN, as well as the Ottawa Central Railway coming in this run. As well as down at the bottom here, a couple extra painted unlettered models. That gray one was in the first run. Pre-order deadline also coming up quick on December 15th. And now for a few models in N scale. Coming are the Comet cars. 5 years since the last run, so definitely well needed. Nice product shots here from the original run of those cars. And a little more for you. List of features there for this N scale model. Minimum radius of 14 inches, so quite tight there. At least for HO scale. Very cool 250th anniversary scheme coming in this run. Order deadline of February 16th. And a couple shots of their models in the wild. You got a 44 tonner and a nice bridge there. And the EP5, always a fun locomotive. And one of their cabbage units and GP38s. Resisting the urge to buy even more of their GP38s. And of course, they were at Trainfest this past weekend. And coming up in December, they'll be at Trainland, so check them out if you're interested on December 21st. And of course, they'll be at Amherst in January, the 24th and 25th, so check them out at that show too. Definitely have more announcements coming from that show, so stay tuned for my recap of that. And on to always one of my favorite sections, the arrival updates. C36-7s should now be at your dealers, so stay tuned for those if you got those on order, as well as the Enterprise hoppers. Very excited to see the coil cars coming, as well as the Super Continental line coaches. Got a pair of those on order, the Rapido 20th anniversary units for those. The auto flood hoppers seem to possibly be arriving a little bit ahead of schedule, so might mess with my budget a little bit. In any case, very excited to see those. Got a couple of the ROLX, the Railroad of Lies versions in that run coming. And now on to some new samples and photos here. Got the CryoTrans reefers, the Greenbrier reefers in all different versions. Got a bunch of those on order. Very excited to see those. Have a bunch with the unique doors on them for the CryoTrans and Lineage versions. Check out all the end cage details here. Here's a head-on shot of one of the CryoTrans units. Here's some shots of the newly delivered Enterprise covered hoppers. Seen quite a few pictures of these recently. Seem to be very nice models. May eventually grab them, but it's not high on my list at this moment. Even more shots of these cars. And here are some shots of the DODX flat cars. Very nice details on these from what I've seen. They are also selling the trucks separately. Those unique 3-axle trucks. And there's some of the tanks. Some nice camo there. And check out these new shots of the Toronto First Subway. New samples there from the factory. But that's all here for Rapido's newsletter. Let's go take a look at the samples they had at Trainfest. Rapido posted quite a few shots from Trainfest, so let's take a look at those now, because there's a ton of neat things to take a look at. Nice shot of the full table and some of the team there. We got new samples of the upcoming run of GP40s. Very nice details on all of these up in the front. Tons of separately applied details on these. You got GP39s in here as well in the back, with some of the slugs. There's a nice shot of that. Very excited to see these coming as well. Pretty much all of those are CSX. Here's an E44 3D printed sample. Seems to be coming along nicely. We got the SW9s. Some nice samples of those. The Toronto's for Subway, as well as those Hawker-Siddeley vans in the back. And the TTC. The S13s and RS23s. There's those GP9Us and Slugs. Also looking great. Nice painted sample there. Here's the first shots that we've seen of their U25 and U25Bs. They've said still a bunch of production refinements to come. These samples don't have the rotating bearing caps. The production models will have the rotating bearing caps. Overall, great details on these as we've come to expect. There's a sample there of the Southern Pacific caboose, Halliburton rail car, as well as the Rio Grande steel riveted cabooses. Don't have one of those on pre-order, definitely would like to. Nice flat cars and the gondolas that recently had an order deadline a few months ago. Here's their flat car loads. Wrapped lumber loads in particular. These cars still teased the BC Rail Trainfest cars. Very excited to see this official announcement because I think this color looks great on these cars. Here's the P32 ACDM sample with the Winnebago and VIA Rail rebuilt F40PH-2D in the background. Incredible models. Very excited to see those. There's the first production sample of the Helium cars. Take a look at all those details. And also coming, this is a 3D printed sample of more Metra Gallery cars. Milwaukee Road and Rock Island will be coming. Got a quick separate flyer that I found as well to take a look at. Check out all these unique details here. You can kind of compare it to the BNSF Burlington version on the left side there. There's the Chicago CTA cars. I've got 2 sets on order. Hopefully I can keep those. Very excited for those cars. A bunch of the Super Continental line passenger cars as well as the sleepers. The BART cars that were recently re-announced for a second run. Here's some of those N-scale Southern Pacific domes and bi-levels. Nice details on those from what I can see. N-scale Metra fleet and N-scale VIA fleet there. Still in development there for the N-scale Metra equipment with a nice banana yellow Winnebago. The Budd RDCs, got a ton of them here at the show. 3D printed sample there of the CTA car. Nice close-ups on more of the passenger equipment. Nice sample shots of more boxcars. And that's all we have here for their samples. Let's take a look at that Metra flyer. Continuing with Rapido's unofficial announcements of these next run of Budd Gallery commuter cars. This next run, as we know, will include Milwaukee Road and Rock Island schemes, as well as Metra and Metra BNSF schemes that we saw in the first run. We got ex-Milwaukee Road coaches, as well as the dummy cabs, which is pretty neat. A lot of those still running the rails with their cabs blanked out as they're no longer used as cab service. The more modern Neponcharios are. We've got Metra BNSF and the dummy cabs coming in this run as well. So really neat things from Rapido overall. I know we had a ton from them. Let's go check out Broadway Limited next. And moving on to BLI, they've conveniently put out their Broadway flyer for October 2025, including a bunch of their new announcements from the show. First up, right off the bat, the Santa Fe and BNSF William Barstow Strong is officially here and announced. We knew they've been working on this for quite a while, coming here in HO scale. Here's a bunch of the prototype information about the car itself, all the way through its life. Broadway Limited has modeled the car in many different eras. First up, as the Santa Fe track inspection car through 1982. And then with some underbody revisions, accurate up through 1990. Still as a Santa Fe car, got some new rebuilt track inspection windows and some different paneling differences. This is the model that will be accurate for 3751, the Hudson that made the cross-country employee appreciation special. Now as a Burlington Northern Santa Fe car, after the merger with some nice green lettering on the side, accurate through 2008. And now with the BNSF swoosh added, removal of the bottom plate with the name, some new details there, antennas, and a white roof. And then sometime in 2013, not exactly sure, nice paint matched on the side there, through 2018 on this top model. And some more modifications to get the model up to its present day appearance. They will also be offering an unlettered version, so you can model this car for your own railroad of choice. Still very nice details on this car that I definitely recommend if you have a chance. Tons of details here listed below. This will come with the same touch lighting as the Kennefic and other cars. Order deadline, you have quite a while to decide on this car. You have until Thursday, March 5th for guaranteed pre-orders with an estimated delivery next fall. Now on to some order deadlines coming up. Just a pair here, the early Challengers, brass hybrid model, as well as the railroad instruction cars that we'll take a brief look at and reminder for you. Here's a quick overview of those brass hybrid early Challengers. Both of these models are expected to deliver next summer. Some of the UP versions here, and some details on the Challenger. The very popular ornate scheme, which is also present on the Hudsons. Lots of different versions coming in this run. And here are the instruction cars, or exhibit cars, in particular for Norfolk Southern. Really neat Great Northern scheme. The fire prevention car. We've got a couple new samples here that Broadway Limited wanted to show off, and a couple more I'll share from the show as well. We took a look at this power car sample last week with some more photos than what's shown here. If you're interested in that, check out last week's video. But overall, it looks like a very, very nice model. This is the version with the antennas on both ends. That's the version I have on pre-order, so I'm excited to see this car. There's also a nice sound demo of the model on Broadway Limited's YouTube channel and Facebook and Instagram if you're interested. I think this is going to be a great model. Here is a new sample though that we haven't seen before. This is the first sample that they have of the Penske S1 Duplex. Got one more picture to share that I'll jump to quickly. Here is a bit of a more isometric view of the S1 Duplex. If you were at the show, definitely let me know how this looked in person. From what I can tell here, it looks incredible, so I'm really excited to see this one deliver as well. Although I don't personally have it on pre-order, still think it's going to be an amazing model. I'm sure we'll see even more photos of this model as it makes its way through the production process. I'll share everything that I come across as well. New samples here of those William Barstow Strong models. These are the 3D printed samples, the 2008 to 2013 BNSF version. I think this looks absolutely incredible here. And some samples of the Fox River, both the Union Pacific and Chicago Northwestern versions they had at the show as well. Couldn't find any more shots of these. I'm sure we'll see them in the next coming weeks as well. And Broadway Limited's newest observation car, the Lone Star Lincoln, coming alongside a new run of the Kennefic as well. This is the model that I earnestly thought was the Kennefic at Rochelle when I saw the big boy, so I'll definitely be grabbing this one with the big boy Tor drumhead. A couple in the news, nice shout outs here to James with their SD40-2, another nice model there in N scale, and to the Steam channel with a nice review of their 280 consolidations that recently delivered. And a quick overview of their most up-to-date delivery schedule. Lots of models coming in November-December range, F3s and F7s, as well as the next run of SD70 ACEs. Personally looking for those business cars in February 2026. Bunch of steam locomotives coming next year, so it will be quite a nice year for the brass hybrid steam locomotive market. And moving on to a quick Q&A section. Broadway Limited opens up the forums All of their posts do questions and answer some of them here. Just highlight some of my favorites here. UPE units potentially going to be coming, but not anytime soon. N-scale Class A's not in the pipeline right now. Not sure about Blue Comet or Southern Crescent models. They're currently not looking into electric models like the Milwaukee Electrics. Would love to see a Little Joe eventually. Let you pause and take a look at some of these. Lots of N-scale specific ones here. E5A's still in progress. They'll be recording sounds from 9911, the Silver Pilot at the IRM. So excited to see that model. We'll definitely need the full passenger car fleet afterwards. Doesn't look like Broadway Limited's planning to make any of those Wabtec rebuilds, just like ScaleTrains just announced. So not going to be going head-to-head anytime soon. Eventually looking to do HEP power versions of the E and F units. Would be nice to see those. Those will definitely go head-to-head with the Rapido models. Frisco 1522, looking to potentially offer passenger cars if that goes well. That's a model that's been in development for quite a while, so hoping to see some updates for that soon. But that's all here from Broadway Limited for this week. Let's move on over to Tangent. And moving on to Tangent Scale Models, with a new announcement and a new model in stock. If you're not familiar with Tangent's announcements, their announcements come right as the models hit their shelves. So in stock now are the PS2 3215 cubic foot covered hoppers. Really neat release with a lot of interesting schemes we'll take a look at in just a second here. A little bit of history here on the models. Lots of different schemes coming, as you can see shown off in the picture. First up, we've got the Santa Fe delivery scheme. 12 road numbers coming there. We have Union Pacific in the delivery gray, also coming with 12 road numbers. We have the delivery gray, but with the conspicuity stripes for 2005 onwards operation. Only 2 road numbers coming with this scheme, with some unique markings on them with AEI tags. Next up in the bright blue, PTLX, the Roland and Nevada Co-op. Really neat to see that. 4 numbers coming in this paint scheme. We've got some Sioux models. The same model, but with a second-hand version of this. This is only one coming from this with the accurate markings. Tons of extra details on this model. Some nice patch job details. Similarly, an X Roland and Nevada MWCX version. Only 1 road number, once again with the accurate patch job details specific to this car. We have a Kellogg grain version, 3 road numbers coming in this paint scheme. And some patch jobs, of course. Another Sioux model, 1 road number here with the patch job details accurate to the actual road number. An INTX version of the same car, 1 road number once again with the same patch job details. And another unique one, PTLX Anderson's 1974 scheme, 4 road numbers coming in this run. And the same model but 1999 onwards era with a nice patch job over the logo, 2 road numbers coming in this scheme. And of course, a couple of undecorated models coming as well. Here's the Santa Fe version, as well as the early UP, PTLX unpainted. The trucks are available separately if you'd like to grab them as well. And some extra parts too, AEI tags, etc. also available for purchase. Here's a full recap of some of the details here on these models. These do come with KD couplers stock. Always nice not having to worry about replacing those. Another really exciting model from Tangent. Always very nice to see some cool rolling stock from them. But that's all here from Tangent for this week. Let's move on over to Class 1 Modelworks. And moving on to Class 1 Modelworks, hot on the heels of their GP40 announcement with the true fans remember. They're announcing a new piece of rolling stock, the Thrall 20-2 Auto Racks. These are now available for pre-order. They do have a pre-order discount of 10% off. currently marketed at $100. You will get 10% off of that. A little bit of history there about these models and description. Not a whole lot of details currently available on these models quite yet, but definitely wanted to show them off since they were just announced. Here's a quick preview of some of the schemes on this model. They did also put out a YouTube video going over a little bit more of the details, but nothing quite in print yet. So stay tuned for next week. I'm sure I'll have a lot more to provide details for you on these models. Here's a little bit of model details about the prototypes of these cars. In particular, added extra height so that minivans and larger SUVs can fit inside the cars. They definitely do their research on their models, of course. But that's all here from Class 1. Just wanted to show this off. We'll cover more details, of course, as they come out. But let's move on to Walthers. And next up from Walthers, no new announcements since we just had new announcements from them a couple weeks ago. Check out my video there with the new announcements in the thumbnail where we talked about all of those. That includes the next run of EMD SD50s. Lots of neat schemes coming in that run that I haven't seen before. So very excited to see that making their way back. Should be here in the middle of next year. Proto Series 55-foot Trinity tank cars are also available for pre-order. Talked about those in the most recent announcements as well. Model now in stock though, their 40-foot single-sheathed boxcar that has the Dreadnought ends now in stock. Lots of different versions there, all the way through the 1970s. And a reminder that their mystery boxes are still in stock if you're interested in grabbing some of those. Seen a lot of open auto racks in these from the YouTube videos. There's the pricing there for you. The value comes on the non-sale price on Walthers' website. Sort of evens out there. Definitely is a good deal if you don't really care what kind of rolling stock or building kits you do get. And if you'd like to grab some locomotives from Walthers directly, they've got Master Series from Atlas, the EMD SD35s, as well as Rapido's C36-7s. But that's all from Walthers for this week. Let's move on to Athearn. And moving on over to Athearn, their dispatcher from the past week. No new announcements from them from this weekend. They've definitely cut back quite a bit. From their most recent announcement, though, some models shouted out here still available for pre-order. Their Athearn Series 36-foot flat cars for the 1900s era. Some of those paint schemes there, as well as these 36-foot low-side drop-bottom gondolas. Both of those have pre-order deadlines of Friday, November 28th, as well as all the most recent announcements. Check out my video with the Athearn new announcements in the title from a few weeks ago to check out all of those new announcements that Athearn finally came out with after a few months off. Models, though, now in stock include the standard Athearn line 40-foot 3-bay offset hoppers. These are available in packs as well as individuals. They do have a removable load, which is pretty nice. There's some of those paint schemes there for you. Also in HO scale, the 53-foot Wabash plate trailers are now in stock. A couple of them are available as prime for grind models with that nice weathering on them, such as that triple crown you can see there. It looks pretty good. And on their Train Tuesday, they talked about their Berwick bathtub gondolas in HO scale. Some of them have the extended sides, which we did actually have a new sample from Trainfest to share, so I'll jump over to that now. While there wasn't much posted officially from Athearn from this past weekend, we did get some new sample shots here of the extended sides on these Berwick bathtub gondolas, as well as the PRAX patch there in the back. Very nice color in that one, if I do say so myself. Looks pretty good. This is new tooling for them. This is the standard side version of the car with the coal load inside. Looks pretty good overall from what I can tell. But that's all we have here from Athearn for this week. Let's move on to Bachmann. And next up from Bachmann, sticking with the hopper theme, quick shout out on their recently delivered Bethlehem 100-ton 3-bay hoppers. There's a little bit of history on the prototypes if you're interested in that. And a quick list of the road names of road numbers that are now in stock. Everything that is shown is what is now in stock. There's nothing else, so only a couple road numbers in each. Typically 2 in each of these. Still a pretty good model if you're interested in a more budget model and want a model that's available now. Couple different road names for you. Here are some more detail shots. as well as the full list of features. We also had one new model update here. This is the first painted sample of their Pan Am 50-foot 6-inch outside braced boxcar. Very nice paint scheme, one of my favorites. This was available at Trainfest to see in person, so let me know how that looked in person if you saw that. This model is also super interesting because it does have the end of train device on one side. Really need to see those. I was just thinking the other day I should really grab some Freds. I know that Iowa Scale Engineering, I believe, was the company that made it. Seems like those are selling for quite a bit on eBay recently, so maybe out of the budget for now. And one final update from Bachmann for this week. The first samples of their 1900s era 68-foot passenger cars arrived at their warehouse for inspection. Looking pretty good from what I can see. Nice details overall. But stay tuned to see these arriving on shelves in just a few weeks. But that's all from Bachmann. Let's move on to Bowser. And moving on to Bowser, just a quick update regarding road number 5341, both DCC ready and DCC sound models in this upcoming SD40-2W run. This model was shipped without snow shields. It was just something that was missed in the production design process. So just an update, the factory will be providing the snow shields at no cost. Please reach out to Bowser if you do have this road number on order, or if you buy one of these at a hobby shop, to get those snow shields sent to you at no cost so that you can install those on the model. I am all but set on grabbing one of these. I do want to look at them in person because I'm not sure which road number that I would prefer because there's so many road number specific details on these models. But stay tuned. Hopefully I can get a review out as soon as I can and as soon as these deliver. But with that, I'll go ahead and end off this week's episode there. Thank you very much for watching. I know it's a bit of a long one, but tons of exciting things to talk about. As always, if you've made it this far, please consider subscribing. It's completely free, helps me to make a few dollars, so I really appreciate it. Like the video if you enjoyed as well, or just want to help out the algorithm. There's a new hype feature available to some users, so if you want to give me a hype down below, it means a lot too. And of course, drop me a comment if you're excited about anything we talked about this week. I know I definitely am excited about quite a bit. And if you went to Trainfest, let me know how it was in person. Would eventually like to make it up there one of these days. And if you saw anything, let me know so I can cover it next week if I didn't cover it in this episode, just so everybody else can see it too. But thanks again for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your week.